Okay, it took me like, I don't even want to talk about how long it took me to set everything up because I'm slow and I forget things. And also, I've been streaming on Twitch mostly for years. I don't really stream on YouTube, but I made the move to YouTube and I forgot they want you to make a thumbnail and everything, so I had to hurry to make a thumbnail and it was just chaos. I'm hoping that the music isn't too loud. I'm actually gonna turn it down a smidgen. So yeah, there's a lot I had to do. There's probably not gonna be a lot of people watching this, which is fine. I don't really mind either way. Because this will also be for people to look back on when they need help on something, I suppose. But we're gonna be making a FeralHeart preset today. This one's gonna be a personal one because I don't have any commissions right now. Yeah, let's switch on over. Hopefully everything's working. And of course the chat is not, you silly little monkey, you. It's fine. I think I know the fix. Me. Okay. Will that work? Probably not. Don't you guys love when stuff does not work? This might work. There we go. I don't really like how YouTube does it. So how do I make this go away, guys? Please. If I hit learn more, will it go away? Absolutely not. Okay, it's just gonna be there, and I'm gonna edit it real quick because it's driving me a little nuts. Ooh, I forgot. I forget things. I might have to find a different way for chat to look nice. Because currently I don't know how to do that on YouTube. Again, I apologize. If I do... That still does not make it go away. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. It is what it is. We're just gonna deal with it for the time being. It's something. So yeah, I apologize that I'm on my wrong thing. I'm so stupid. I clicked on the wrong one. Okay, it's working now. I'm so sorry. Actually, I also just realized, if I'm being honest, that... Is it that? Yeah. I don't want it behind my head. I want it, like... That's not gonna work. Okay, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I'm just realizing that it's a bit silly being behind my head, and I also need to fix a few things with my model, because the jaw likes to break. But we're going to start. So, we're going to be making the preset in Procreate, and here's my girl up here in the reference box. So, let's get started, shall we? As I struggle and stare at my model angrily because it's not doing what I want. We're just gonna get rid of the chat, actually. Where are you? We're just gonna get rid of that because it doesn't look good. Okay, so there's a few things that you can start off with. You can probably start off with the texture, and some people probably do that. I don't, typically. But I do start on the head, just painting it. So let's find the head. Perfect. You don't really need to make a new layer. I just typically do because it's just easier. For my brain. Not anyone else's, just mine. Just my brain. So you're gonna see me flip between the 2D and the 3D quite frequently for a few reasons. It's a lot easier to have it look accurate and nice. And every time I look down, my character gets sad. It's so stupid. I'm so sorry. I need to fix a few things with her. She's just depressed. But yeah, typically with this, it's nicer to have a texture so you know what area of the eye you want this at. But we're just gonna start with this. It's probably gonna be covered up by whatever texture I use for the most part, and then we'll have to edit it later. But for right now, we're just going to do that and call it good. So, as you may have noticed, I'm using the modern model. Doesn't really matter. You can also use the original models in this, and they work fine. So the nose is actually interesting. Depending on what texture you use, it'll be in a different spot. So I normally just outline where I'm sorry, my pen keeps hitting it. I'm right-handed. And I did unmute myself, cool. And then I will go around the bit where I think the nose will be. And it really just depends on like what texture you're using on how far out the nose will go. And you can always edit those textures to better fit what you want in terms of where stuff is. I don't really fill in the lip area, or oops, sorry, zoomed a bit. I don't fill in this spot either because most textures will already have that already. And it's just what it is. On the eye, I noticed I forgot that bit. And again, you probably will not see this at the end of the day, so I'll probably move it up so it's actually visible. But otherwise, it's not really going to be there. So what I like to do as well is I go in here and I fix anything that doesn't look right, technically. But what you should also be doing is where this hard edge is, you should be going a little bit past that, because if you don't, you will usually get these micro seams in game that just don't look very nice. Like when you zoom out, you will actually see them. And for some reason, I just noticed that, oof. Ignore that. I'm gonna restart my hand tracking because there we go. It wasn't working this entire time and I don't know why. Sorry. It's not really a super important thing, but it's a detail I like. And I eventually want to get like full body tracking, but you know, that's in the future. You also get to see me pinching and moving stuff around. Oop, shit. I have, God, I can't remember. It's the Apple Pencil that has like the flat side where you can switch between the eraser and the actual paintbrush, marker, or whatever you're using. So sometimes it gets a little annoying. So the fun part, well actually the fun part's also the nose, because her nose is two different colors. She's also going to be fully asymmetrical. I could make her body symmetrical, but I want to be a little bit extra and make her fully asymmetrical. But she doesn't have, or she's not going to have, any special effects besides that, really, besides I'm going to give her shiny claws, a shiny nose, shiny and reflected. Wait, oh my god, did you see my finger? That was so weird. It like bent backwards. Glowing and moving eyes, that type of thing. And then for everything else, it's just gonna be relatively simple. It's not gonna be like some of my other characters where she'll have animations or anything. Her nose is gonna be slightly a little difficult because, you know, you're not drawing it on a flat surface. And part of it will kind of go the other way, which is where other... Sorry, I keep hitting the mic. I really apologize for that. I wonder... Oop, nope, not that one. Sometimes other brushes can be used for, like, better things, but at the same time, I can also just grab this color and take this down. Do that. So you'll also probably see these lines. I don't know if they'll show up that well, but it's just where the model's stretched a little bit or the quality's not as great, but overall it's fine. Where you'll see that a lot is near the toes, but there's nothing you can really do about that. You kind of have to just work around it. So I will note as well that you can do the eyes in here. I just don't personally. You can also do the teeth as well, like me, teeth and the tongue. I don't do any of those in Procreate. I take them outside of the program and just do them all in bulk because it's just easier for me to do that. I probably almost should have grabbed the flat model for this, but I didn't, so... Oh, you know what I almost forgot to do? When I stream, all of my brain cells go out the door, so you're gonna be seeing a lot of me forgetting what to do. You'll also notice that there's just some areas that I need to do extreme touch-ups on because I don't get them well enough the first time, which isn't really that strange. Sometimes, I think it's the brush I use, when I color outside of a certain spot, it'll create white pixels, so I have to go back and fix those because otherwise they will show up later, and I don't want that. Unless the character's white and some white pixels won't hurt it. So a challenging part of the fluffy model, you can use the flat model. I don't. I know she's gonna have a lot of fluff, so this allows me to adjust any markings I need to where they look correct with fluff, because these are essentially just stretched parts of the model. So if you were to put them back where they go, then you'd get the flat model. But they're not like extra tidbits, they're literally like Play-Doh. If you pinch and pull, that's what it is. So in the flat model, if you draw stripes and they end up on these spiky bits, they might look a little wonky. So what I typically do, since all of my characters are fluffy, I tend to just use the spiky model and adjust where I need to. But if you'll notice, and if you've played the game, it's got fur going back when there is an option for the fur to go to the front. So I typically don't use the slick back fur. Not usually, I guess it depends on the character. But that's what this model has. And you could, theoretically, I'm not sure if there's a version out there with the fur going to the front, there might be. Just export the model with the fur going forward, but I don't have that model currently, so I don't have it. And I'm probably gonna go a bit off model here with some of these markings, just to make them not more visually interesting, because I think they're fine as is, but just to... So yeah, that's one of the things you'll encounter with some of the furs. You'll have to readjust and go on. So with these, I'm just gonna go in the 2D and fix it that way. You can fix it in the 3D mode. It's fine. It'll work fine doing that. But I'm lazy, so I go in the 2D and do it that way. And since she's got such a a large area here to fill. I'm gonna fill it all in with the base color, and then I'm going to just probably use alpha lock, and then actually no, not alpha lock, because you can't see my cursor. I wonder if I can enable that. Project brush cursor. Oh wait, I don't think it'll work. It works like that, so I guess I'll keep that, but you can't really see it on the reference at all. Anyway, these little brown bits that are coming out of the light brown, and just the other bits. So I probably won't alpha lock all of it, but what I will do is probably just still fill it all in with this brown as like a guide. And she's a relatively simple like design overall, so there's nothing super wild about her or anything, but you know, simple designs can be fun too. I wonder what the point of this brush cursor is. It's just to show how much pressure you're doing. If I do super light, and then I guess, yeah. Because I was gonna say, it doesn't show where I hover over, so it's not necessarily super useful, but I mean, might as well. Also, I suppose it's not important. I was gonna say, I don't put the UV like spots on here, where it's like the grid and stuff. I don't do that. I've worked with presets enough to like have a rough idea of where stuff is, and also when you put textures actually on it, you know, it's as good as a UV like guide sometimes. So yeah, I should honestly just fill it all back normal, but I don't like that. So, shit, sorry, I keep hitting the mic. So what I might do, see, you see that that bit again, where it kinda, almost like an old TV, which, now that I think about it, some of you might have not seen an old TV. I feel old, but old TVs kind of had where you could see the pixels and stuff, and that's kind of the effect you get there, but it's not the pixels, it's just, you know. I'm actually gonna elongate it so I can kind of work with it a bit better. And then what I'm gonna do for her, I know it's all one solid chunk. I hate doing that. I'm probably gonna just separate it for right this second to get maybe some. No. You get to hear me fucking debate with myself on what to do. It will look a lot different with the hair or the fur pushed to the front, but there's really nothing I can do about that specifically at this exact moment with this exact model. It's just something I'm gonna have to account for and deal with later. I accidentally clicked the ear, didn't I? Yes, I did. So on this, the ears and the head are separated. They're on the same part of the UV. So to give you an example, the inside of the ear is right here and the outside's about right there. But on this model, they are separated. So if you want to draw on the ear, you have to click on it, and you can use the same layers, and it does show up. So it's not too crazy, but if you accidentally click the ear, then it's gonna be a pain in the ass if you try drawing on the actual face, because it won't show up correctly. So for her, yeah, I was gonna say for her it should go all the way back, and it does. Her design was made by Cosmic Haven Adoptables on Instagram, so shout out to them. I have a lot of characters by them, honestly, because I really like their designs. So yeah. So you'll see I got a notification. Okay. So you'll see on the flat portion that that line going down really squiggleified because the fur, and that's kind of like what I mean by it just won't really look right. It goes both ways. You'll probably have better luck making the marking look okay if you just use the flat model and then transfer it to a model. Well, not transfer, if you use it on a fluffy model in game, but the other way around not so much, because some whatever markings are on the actual fur will kind of squigglify. So what I might actually do is I might go along and do that. Just get that base down. And I think with hers, I'm gonna have it bow out a little like that. I also want to connect it like that, because if you don't, it'll look weird. And what I'm gonna do, oops. Ooh, that's too big. Ooh, that's also too big. Let's just add some texture like that. Which is what I typically do, but we're gonna do that and then do that. I usually do this kind of last, but sometimes as I go, it's just a good habit to have. With some markings, I'm probably not gonna do it because it's not always something you need to do with certain markings. If you want really crisp markings, then it's not really recommended that you do that, because then they won't really be crisp unless you're just using a brush that is crisp. But if you're smudging it, I don't know how that works. If you have a crisp brush for smudging, I don't know. I haven't used a crisp brush for smudging in a very long time. So actually, I don't know if it'll show up on, it should. There is a difference in color, but there actually technically isn't. What that is, I'll show you, is this little cube right here. You'll click on it and there's a roughness and metallic tab. They just changed the appearance of it. It's really the same color. I typically clear them out just so I can see it all as one cohesive thing. You don't need to. They export as different files, which I think you can still use if you wanted as like masks for stuff, but you don't need to if you don't want to. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably a smart way to do the mask. I don't know if they export transparently though, because if they don't, then not the best type of mask. But anyway, we'll get started on this color. If I go to this one, and it starts about, I'd say, here. And as usual, you know, there's this bit, which is a bit more annoying for markings like this, where it's not a stripe connecting, but just these types of bits, because then you have to really align it. But it's doable, and it's not too painful. So for accuracy, I'm not really fussed about it for her. If this was a commission, then I'd strive for as much accuracy as possible. Jesus, I cannot talk. But also, it's reading the pen as my thumb. I did just now notice that. But since it's for me, I'm aware, like, I don't really care about the accuracy, because, you know, I'm not too fussed about it for this design. Oof, this is actually looking kind of muddy. Okay. let's think about this. How do I want it to look? I think probably the most annoying thing about it is just the way the fluff makes it look super weird. Like, look at that. It's avoidable if you know how to avoid it. Just use the flat model, that's how you avoid it. On the head, anyway. You'd still have the problem with the toes. And I suppose, like, let me think. Sorry. I, by the way, really hope the quality is okay. YouTube settings, they're pretty similar. But sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you do not know. What I'm doing here, I'm just gonna do this to connect a lot of it. There. That'll probably look, yeah. Oh, it's something, I'll tell you what. That is something. That's a great example though of what I mean by the fluffy markings. I'm probably gonna keep those as is, because when you use the fluff forward option, it doesn't go all the way down to this bit. It goes like, I think about here, maybe. Well, actually no, I can't keep that. That's terrible. She might be harder to do than anticipated, but I'm gonna go farther back actually, and I'm gonna bulk this up, because I feel like part of the problem my brain is having is it's because it's not bulked up yet, so it's kind of looking a little iffy. This is not a great advertisement for my preset commissions, by the way. This is terrible. It's like, oh, how does she do it? And it's like, oh, I struggle hard. You know how it goes. I think it would be better if I was like continuing one of the presets I already had, where I had it planned out and everything. But in this case, I do not. I'm struggling. But yeah, I think I know the problem. I'm gonna erase this again. It's so bad. Okay, we will attempt this again in a minute. I'm just gonna force it back here, which I will also fix on the 2D version as well, because that is a good idea to do. But I'm gonna send this all the way back, and I just realized that's not correct. Oh joy. Oh joy, joy, joy. But yeah, now I need to make a reminder to myself to also fix the model, and when she makes certain expression combos, so that they don't really become dopey and the jaw doesn't fall out. I think doing it's a simple fix. I don't remember what it is though. Probably have to go in Unity and fix something, which is fine. It is what it is. I am gonna check a notification real quick though, so I apologize about that. But just wanna make everything look good. It's also not. Oh, it's because it's connecting. I hate when my phone does this. Okay, never mind. No notification checking for me. Okay, I like this better. We're gonna do that. And then for these, oops, sorry, I did it again. I keep hitting the mic. I keep slapping you. Okay, and then for this. The fallback of using this brush is because it flares out when I don't want it to. But, I mean, that's a me problem. Okie doke. It just looks so weird. But it looks much better this way. See on those spots, it's really hard. So we'll have to see how that looks in-game. And I don't know if we'll get to that stage tonight because it's a very, how do you say, long process depending on the preset. And this one's not very complicated. I can finish presets like this in a day, but I'm also not going to be streaming for a day, you know? So let's make sure everything looks nice. And yeah, we want that to come to a point on both sides, so it makes a triangle. I was like, yeah. Oh god, I'm so sorry. Okay, so what I typically do is after I'm done with a marking, I do this so the clear, or the correct color shows. You don't need to. Again, it doesn't affect anything, but I typically do. Why does it keep thinking I'm sad? Why? Why are you doing this? Had to push up my glasses. So this one's gonna be farther back. And it's a very similar color to the one we just placed, so it'll be something. For this one, there's not really much overall, but I do want to verify that this goes past and that these connect. And then I can also add, you know, just extra bits. As we go. I did forget this layer. I forget things, everybody does. I kind of want to do, as if I can, which I can, it's just a matter of like, will it make a difference? Might, but it might not. So yeah, a lot of this, it's just, you know, very much, I wouldn't call most of the initial stages detail work. It's, I mean, unless you have a really complicated design and most of it's detail work, but it can get a very detail work-ish mindset because of the amount of stuff you have to keep in mind while doing it. But if you're going for something very simple, then it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, if I'm being honest. Do what works for you. Let nobody tell you different. As long as it works, who cares? Even if it's not the most streamlined process, if it's what you like to do, oops, sorry, then by all means. Especially if you're just doing it for yourself. I'm gonna add that because, like, if it's not like the fastest thing ever, then I don't think it really matters if it's fast. It's just you're doing it how you want to do it. That's and part of the enjoyment of it is that I think you're doing it how you want to do it. I really need a new screen protector. You can't see it, but it's a mess. It's one of those paper-like ones, but all the paper texture is gone. Except for like in the corners, I don't use like the lower left corner. I don't really use it. Lower right corner, I don't really use it. I use the middle. I use the middle. So yeah, this isn't looking bad. It'll certainly look better later when we have a texture on, but some people don't even like textures. Some I said paper, I didn't mean paper. Some people just have it no texture. I think those presets are so pretty, by the way. I'm just not confident enough to ever make presets with zero texture. And like, I keep meaning to make my own textures, but I know like, with the way my brain is, I'll never think that they're as good as other people's textures, so I'm just like, It's very much a situation that I can't win. Because on one hand, I think I would benefit from making my own textures, and on the other, it's like, well, would they even look as nice? And my brain likes to say no, so. I'll probably try it one of these days. Okay. So our head seems kind of done. I might bring the darker color up a bit. I'm really not sure. Because, let's look at the one where she's had on. Yeah, I mean, it kind of shows. So I might in the end, because right now you don't really, I mean, you kind of do, but not nearly as enough. But I think the ears are up. I'm just gonna put them on different layers. She's got such pretty colors in her ear. So a lot of this will be helped out by the texture I plan to add. So I'm just gonna do the baseline, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, I like that. So I'd say the most difficult part about ears is a lot of markings are kind of like hers, where they actually, I suppose the most difficult part is the ear fluff, like on this. Because a lot of people put markings there and it's like really hard, so you have to simulate the fluff on this part. And it's like, I'm sorry, I would love to do it a bit better, but I can't. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of messily do it right here, and then sometimes the camera in this, and then go in and manually like erase. So with her, I'm noticing it kind of does dip into her ear a little bit. Another thing of why I hate my screen protector, it makes everything so hard to move. Because it does that. Like, please. And then I want to, of course, go up here Gotta respond to this message for sure. Apologies. Because this one's a text. Good night. Okay. Oh, did I type that right? Or did I? Yeah, okay. Sometimes I'm afraid when I go in like autopilot for things that I don't type things correctly. Okay. The ears are also one of those parts of the body that it's really, I suppose the word would be important to know how the UV works. Yet at the same time, the UV won't always help you necessarily because, goodness, because the way the ear is folded, it can get a bit tricky. Also, I should note this. When you have parts of the body that are in close relation to each other by putting them at certain angles like this, you'll see it with the legs. I can actually switch to those real quick. If you do this and you go to do a marking across this ankle, it'll go back as well. So you need to be really careful about placing markings like that, because otherwise they're just gonna go over to different body parts, and then you're gonna have a mess on your hands. And it's as described, it can be a mess. So yeah, I think the head, or at least this side of the head, is done pretty much. What I might do, what I usually end up doing for designs like this, where you need some bit of symmetry, but not a complete amount, is I will copy and paste the layers, but you have to do that a specific way. That's not my middle finger, okay? There we go. You have to do it a specific way, otherwise it doesn't end up correct. So I'll show you how to do that. It's kind of a painstaking process. So to copy a layer, you don't need to go into here. However, to paste a layer, you do, because if you don't, it'll try and stamp it on like whatever body part you're trying to copy and paste. So this is the eye. So actually, we'll give an example. So if I were to try and paste this onto here, you would get this. If it's, I don't even know where that went. Did it even go? Oh, it like disappeared. Okay. It didn't even, huh? Will it paste into here? Yeah, okay. Yeah, sometimes it's, I mean, I guess that's a good example. Is it just doesn't work correctly. So once you go out here, it'll be pasted. So I'm just gonna stay in 2D to do this, because it'll just be much easier. And I'm gonna copy and paste every bit that I need, including the nose, even though I'm gonna change the nose, and I'm also going to change the head markings. It's just so I can have whatever bits symmetrical that I need to have symmetrical, and then I can change it however I want. So I'm probably gonna go quiet doing this so I can just focus. Even though I don't really need to focus, it's just like, it's kind of a tedious thing that you have to do. If you do it this way, I mean, you might not even bother. So I'm gonna do... Where? There it is. I'm very silly. Was that there? I didn't see it. Okay. Very weird. Okay, anyway. Okay, now it's fully symmetrical, and what I'm already noticing is this doesn't have a point like I wanted, which is my fault, 100%. So we'll make that more of a point after I work on the nose. So let me get this. Let me click on the head. That didn't have alpha lock on. That's another good example of, actually, you know what? I'll just go into here. There's those white pixels I had mentioned before, but I think it's the brush I use, so you might not even encounter it. Okay. So for this, actually, let me keep that bit. I didn't really think about that. I literally wanted that connector bit, so it's fully symmetrical. Which again, you can do it by hand, it doesn't matter. I also, now that I'm looking, want to add a bit of pink just beyond her nose and the fur, but I'll wait to see how the texture looks on her nose before I do that. Because it could, definitely. I did it again. That is one of my pet peeves, but it's more of a pet peeve with me specifically because of the way my iPad is, so it can be annoying. And this side of her nose is pretty simple. Probably just gonna keep it like that, actually. But she does have spots on her nose. Oop, that's a very big spot. For this one, give me your nose. Bigger spot there. Beautiful. So let's clear. Oh, there is no roughness. Is there roughness on the other nose, I wonder? There is. So, again, doesn't really affect anything. Just a pet peeve of mine. And that way the nose is all one normal color. But I do want to... no, I said I would do that after. So now we're gonna refine this. I'm probably gonna put this little triangle bit on a layer just beneath, so it can properly do this. Copy that. Then I want to paste. Fantastic. And then she's got that point that I want. So what I will do is erase some of these. And then actually... make that a bit smoother because it just doesn't look right. Oh, Jesus. Again, my screen is super sensitive because of my wax screen protector, so we just went for a lovely little ride. So I'm not going to change a bunch. I'm essentially just going to add more tufts and then more spots that are kind of just separate from the rest of it. And then we'll do that. also want to make it look like that. And then we'll refine anything in here that we have to, as well as add little bits and bobs. And what I like to do there. She's gonna have more spots essentially, as well as different spots. So overall, nothing complex, but different enough that it'll just, you know, be different. Nothing too, I suppose, special about it. Let me zoom in on here. What I want, oops, sorry, I am so sorry. Oh my gosh, it's gonna drive me nuts. Okay, let's see how this looks. Ooh, okay, that's another good reason. It'll probably look fine on the other fluff, but I don't like to risk it, so I'm just gonna do it like that. And then with this one, I'm gonna add a lot more. So how do those look, actually? I think they're fine. Might fix this on the other one too, actually, because I feel like since we're going to be using the other type of fluff, that'll show up, and I don't want that to, so I don't want it to, but another thing I forgot to do, actually, is put down the base color. There, now she looks correct. Yeah. On to the third layer, which is this one. And we'll have to do a lot of it in here, I think. Okay, and then on to this one, because honestly at this point it's pretty simple. I'm not gonna change much about this layer, just because, like, I don't think it's a super what's the word I'm looking for? It's not gonna be the main layer you're looking at, so. Okay, so that's technically the face done. I am not gonna be adding her collar. We're just gonna pretend like she doesn't have one. So pretty much gonna have to improvise a lot of her back markings, which is fine. But what I'm probably gonna do, besides yawn, I apologize, is I'm gonna make this dark stripe more prominent. But first, we have, I think that is the base layer, is it not? Yes, it is. So we're gonna have the base layer color going down as well. And we're just going to start off with this one. So by now I'd usually have a texture on and, you know, working with it. But I'm not really too fussed about this one because of a few reasons. But you know, we'll see. I have a texture in mind. Oop. I did not, oh my gosh, did not mean to do that. So she actually has a lot of this base color coming down onto her shoulders. So that is what we're gonna run with. And then I want it to come to another point. And she does have another area back here where there is a lot. Because she's so simple, she doesn't have any leg markings or anything. I will draw her paw pads in a bit, but we'll just work on this for right this moment. I'm so sorry. That's too big. So depending on where markings are, it depends on what brush I use for the smudging to make it look like fur. If it's on legs, I use a much smaller, short furred brush, and usually if it's on the face, I do as well, because those areas don't have long fur necessarily, if we're going off of wolves. And I can actually show you an example, because I have my boy Anton as my wallpaper, who is technically the closest example we're gonna get of a wolf right now. But we'll do that in a minute when I am done with this. So for this, I usually just lengthen that out because part of the UV, it's like something like this. That's where the neck cuts off, but I, again, take it past that. So, yeah. All right. Let me just sit up again. Okay. So she has a lot of the same colors, I think all of the same colors on her face as on her shoulders, and then she gets more browns and other colors on her hindquarters. So the shoulders should be pretty simple. She does have a darker bit like around her nose, under her collar, and around her chest, and around here. I probably will add that, but it won't be super clear. But let's look at how this looks. I want this to kind of go... I want this to come to a point like that. I'm gonna use... So one thing I should note, just in general, when you are using Procreate and you go from 2D to 3D, your pen sizes are not the same technically. So when you're on the model, they're gonna appear larger than they would on the 2D. Let me just check. Okay. So that's a good base. I'm probably going to leave those just as is for right this moment. So, unlike the original FeralHeart, we do have claws. And the claws on this UV are around here. Probably not as big. Probably around, like, this, I'd say. Probably a little bit over than what I did. Yeah. Yeah, that was a laugh. That was something. Anyway. They're probably more around this spot. Because then you have the leg coming down here. Yeah. Anyway. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in the same order as her head. So what I'm noticing is there's not a lot of this light color, and it's gonna be kind of a pain to visualize where it is because we don't have the other colors down. But I think you're gonna hear a lot of tapping on my mic. A lot of it is along her spine, and then along a different spot. So actually, I'm now noticing I won't be able to go in the order I want because this is very much the color that takes over a lot of her back. So we're gonna do it this way. And then I'll probably have to edit how much tan I have on her because it's not looking synonymous with her reference. And for these bits, I will smudge them in like that. So if you ever come in a situation where you're like, well, it's very blobby, then you can always smooth that out. But I typically do that after. So I did that a bit early, but it was the sake of an example. So sometimes my brushes don't really cooperate, and I imagine it goes for everybody. But that's just the nature of this brush, unfortunately. And for these, this brush, while great, it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's very finicky to work with sometimes. It'll flare out and it'll just be annoying to work with. Everything like that. So it's something. Definitely is. Okie dokie. And I'm gonna add. Oop. Actually, what I should do is fix this. So let's do that. For the back, I'm not too worried. I'm so sorry. I just keep having to scooch over and it's messing up my keyboard placement. And it's really annoying. I don't need my keyboard for this right this minute. But obviously it's just, I like my keyboard where it is. It's hitting my pop filter, so I wonder if I do that. But anyways, since this is on the back, I'm not too worried about accuracy here because inevitably it will be covered, or it will kind of be, it will be spiky. Won't even kind of be spiky, it will be spiky. So for my own presets, which I put less detail in than my ones I'm commissioned to do because it's for myself, so I don't always put the maximum amount of effort for myself. really, you won't super notice it. Like if we go here, a lot of the, like you see this initial fluff, which since the brush sizes are a bit different in 2D and 3D modes, I like to go back and fix a lot of the smudges to look less weird, because a lot of the time they will get stretched like majorly. And I keep hitting my mic and I want to apologize again, but it's like at this point you've heard all the apologies. But yeah, anyway, so what I might do is go back to this layer and back to this color and not have my smudge brush equipped and kind of go here. So with her marking on this side, she has a little loop that I'm gonna do. She also has that back here as well, I'm noticing. And then she has that. So yeah, for when it comes to certain markings, I do like shade them out as I do them, because it just saves me having to do it later. But sometimes I don't bother. You know, sometimes you're just in the mood to get the base done and then shade it, or not even shade it, but then give it some texture. Bruh. Anyway. I also technically did not follow the way she has her back. I don't know what this... I don't know what I did with the dark bit. That's certainly not what she has, but what we can do for that is I can go in here and like do this and then do this. And it gives a bit more of a interesting look. I wouldn't call it any more faithful, but But you see, like, it flares out and it makes me so mad sometimes. Like, no! Stop flaring! Okay. Yeah, I like that better. It adds more of an interesting texture to her. So yeah. Now we can move on to this color that I was gonna do before, and I didn't because it turns out it wouldn't have worked like that. And what I actually want to do before that is clear this. I think also clear this. Okay. And then I'm so sorry again for the millionth time. Again, these are more central to the back portions. So what I'm actually gonna do, I'm gonna do it like this. And again, I have to be kind of careful with how this looks on the actual model, but it's just one of those things where we will edit it when we get a look at it, and I think it looks fine. The streaks aren't too long or anything, so that's good. I kind of don't want to cover up this portion of the marking, so I'm just going to go in between here, add more variety like that, and kind of make them look like that. There's not a lot of this color overall, which is fine. I am gonna add more in like that. And then see how stretched that is. But yeah, I think for this side of the body, on this portion of the body, I think that's done. I like how it looks. So. Okay. On to her booty, where we get lots of different colors. Or shades of brown, anyway. But I like shades of brown. Shades of brown are my shit. So, let's get this. Ooh, this one's an interesting shade in comparison to what we've seen so far. So I'm just gonna do a lot of these as I do them, like in terms of let's move this up. Sometimes when you do it like this, it can kind of mess with it, but I found that for the most part, it's okay. It's nothing great. What it's great for, actually, and I will show you an example if I can find an empty spot. Oh, perfect. So if I do this, ooh. Okay, let's make that thinner. If I do this, then I want to transfer that to somewhere fluffy. It's great. I actually love that version of it. You have to have enough room, though. So it's not very great for if you're doing a bunch of stuff at once. What tab is it? Oh my god, I haven't even been streaming that long and I'm exhausted. But yeah, let me... Okay. Let's go back to this. Alright, so she has a lot... And this is actually, now that I'm looking, she has a lot of it on her leg. So, and a lot of it is this color. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to actually take a big portion and I'm going to kind of do that. Although I'm probably going to bring it forward. Did I make a new layer? I don't know. I don't like it being that far back. And what I might do, I'm so sorry again. Oh my god. Whenever I try to do these specific like strokes, it's like, how about we just screw that up? And it's like, yeah. Sorry, I have to check something. Ah! Okay. Sorry. Anyway, so what I do, obviously, for these bigger markings is still use these, but I'll sometimes use the bigger brush. Because like I said earlier, depending on what part of the body, there's like a hair, there we go, is like what type of brush I'll use. And I use this smudge brush for like majority of it, if I can, because I like how smooth it makes things. But on the face, I will typically use a different one. Because like I said, on the face, like near the muzzle, you will have shorter fur. But this one's great for the body and back when you get farther towards the neck on the head. I'm not crazy about this marking, but you know what, we'll see how it goes. Oh, hello. Sorry, I just now saw that. This is on an iPad. I use a iPad Pro. I can't remember which gen at the moment, but it's from like 2018. I need to actually move my chat where I can see it. There we go. No, I'll actually be able to respond. Oop, wrong thing. Actually, we'll keep it. I'll add some variation in there. Okay, so it looks wonky, but maybe we'll trust the process here and hope that it looks better when I add the other colors. There is this really pretty brown right here. That's like a bit bolder. So what we'll do with this one, again, we're not going for full accuracy for this one, or for this character. We're just going with what I feel like. We're going with what I feel like. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I do want to add some more floof bits there. But yeah, let's smooth this out. If I still hate the marking after we add all the colors, then we're gonna change it, but it's fine. You just, you know, it's the whole trust the process thing. I'm so sorry. I keep hitting it. I need to like lean away every time so I don't hit it. Okay, I hate it a little less now with that brown. So now we'll add the dark brown. And this one, ooh, that looks very nice. This one will have to go in here. And I'll fix it as well for the lighter brown in a second. And we'll go in here. I think we'll do it like very similarly to how we did the other color. It's kind of like spotting on the side. Because again, I'm kind of giving my own artistic rendition of what her markings may look like. Which I only do for myself and commissions if they ask me to. Or if I have to. I usually will ask what kind of markings they have for places I can't see. And usually the two responses I get are, you know, I have full artistic freedom to do what I think. Or they give a, you know, like, oh, looks like the other side but more spots type deal, which I'm fine with. It's really fun to make the other side of designs that don't necessarily have one in their reference. And then we'll do the dark one next. So the dark one, since it connects the tail, we're gonna have to go into here. I almost hit gallery. Not that it would have mattered, I could always come back in. But we're gonna do it this way. And I said I was gonna fix this and I forgot to nearly. So for the lighter bits that I didn't necessarily put all the opacity on, I will just blend it out like this because it'll typically... What marking? Oh, you're on the base one, okay. Because it'll kind of drag what I have. For smaller ones, it doesn't typically. As you can see there, it kind of just blends it out. But it's still better than having to attempt to fully match the full marking. Let me zoom out a little bit. So I want to do... I am so sorry again. I keep hitting the mic. I might actually pull that darker brown up because it's kind of going to get blocked by this black if I keep... Well, this isn't black. This is like a dark gray. Yeah, it's like a dark gray. If I keep pulling it up, and I don't want to get rid of that pretty brown. It added substance. But I am going to add some darker flecks in here, which are a bit stark. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, that didn't affect anything. But we're gonna blend them out a little bit so they're less stark. And then for this part, since we've got some floofies, I'm probably gonna have to... Yeah, like I thought, we'll have to do it like this, which is fine. So what I will do there. So yeah, I'm gonna just blend it here real quick and then do the rest of the model. I think it should be fine there, yeah. Also might use a different brush to blend out the specific area so it doesn't look too uniform. Because right now it's mostly fine, but there. And then these little spikes can have sort of a mind of their own. So for the, I guess you can hide the tail. I was gonna say I like going into, I am so sorry. Oh my gosh. I do that so much. I meant gosh. Oh my gosh. Or oh my god. But I say goosh. Because I mix goodness and gosh, and it's a whole thing. Okie doke. I will say, this part of the preset is probably my least favorite because just how much it's so tedious to do. But it could be worse, so you can see the hole. Let me clear this. Kinda doesn't look terrible. But I still need to... I'll try this method. I do this method usually. If I need to, as I'll make sure that the parts I want to blend out end up on the floofy bits, so they look a bit more natural. And then we zoom in, and since they have that stretch quality, they won't necessarily ever really look that great, unless you're a messiah, in which case I salute you, because I guess salute, but my hand tracking won't necessarily pick that up. because it can just get very tedious to make that part look super great. I'll bring the tail back, but it looks fine. I'm not liking how it's connecting here though, which is my fault. And these little bits, since they're on the same layer, I have to be very careful not to completely annihilate them, but they might have to go. They might have to. That might work. That might do. Her tail is gonna be... You know what I forgot to do again? I forgot to get her base color. Which is fine. You could just change the main base. I'd imagine most people do that. I just don't, because I'm crazy, apparently. There. Okie doke. Awesome. Now to debate on... I'm gonna stretch my hands, sorry. Whew. Now to debate if I want to do the other side or the tail real quick. It doesn't really matter, but I think probably the other side, just to get it out of the way. So let me just boop, copy. And as usual, I'm gonna copy and paste what I have and then do the edits after, just so it does connect seamlessly, essentially. Oop, shit. Which, again, this is a tedious process, but the effect it gives is nice. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to... I'm not saying it's possible, it definitely is possible. You could do it by hand and make it look perfectly fine. I just find that this is just so much less stressful on my part, because there's just so much annoying parts. There's so many annoying parts that you'll have to connect and get the exact type of opacity and blending and stuff like that. So I just find it doing it this way is a bit easier, because then I can just make the edits as I go. So the first edit we're gonna make is to this cream marking on the shoulder. Get rid of this big old chunk. And we're probably just gonna see what we got here in terms of how to make it look different. And we will blend it out so it looks just as nice as the other one. But right now, we want to edit any parts that we want to edit. And what I might do, did not mean to undo that, is add little gaps. And I keep tapping. It's so annoying. I'm gonna add gaps in here just to make it more visually distinct, I guess. And then we can also blend those out to make them look more a part of the fur rather than just, you know, a newly slapped feature on top of it. So. And with this bit, we can do this. So what I like to do, but I don't always do because, you know, you get in the moment and you kind of forget, I try to think of like what way the fur is actually going. And if I have a texture on, usually I'll follow the textures, like the way the fur on the texture is going, to make it look like it actually belongs with the texture. But since I don't have one on it currently, sorry again, I don't even know if you guys can actually hear those taps, but I'm apologizing regardless. But anyway, since I don't have a texture on, I'm kind of just going with how I would think the fur is going. Normally I'd look at my dog and go, hey, how's your fur, brother? But my dogs aren't with me in this country, so just to keep it... Oh, right, I did this on a different layer because that's a different color technically. Okay, I was gonna say, since I want to follow the type of like theme I got going on this side, I'm just gonna make holes in that bit too, but that's a different color, so we're gonna do that once we get there, but we're not there yet. I think for this, I'm gonna do something like that. Yeah. I don't like how this is looking, so I might... It would definitely be this one. What you can do as well is like mix up the sizes and shapes of whatever you're using to make the fur look realistic, or give texture to the fur, I guess. That's what I will do sometimes if I'm not liking the way it's looking. It just will give you, like, if a lot of it is blurred, you can add more defined strands by going a size smaller and blurring or smudging again. It doesn't always work, but when it does, and it looks nice, usually. Alright, now time to change this bit. This bit I really like. I have to admit, I like the darker marking. There's not a lot of dark markings on this side from what I can see though, but you're only seeing the shoulder, and there's definitely, you know, bits over here that you can see. So what we're gonna do is we're at least gonna add some of these to the shoulder. I gotta think of how, like, I want it to look. Is that the same color? Because it doesn't look like the same color. I think it's because this one doesn't have, like, the material shine. Yeah. Actually, what I might do, just for some more interest as well, is add an extra strand to this. And keep it underneath that piece of fur. No, it is darker. What is that? Did I not add the dark markings to this, actually? Holy shit. I don't think I did. I didn't. Okay, well, oh boy. I realized. What color is that? Is that the dark brown? Is it this color? Oh, it is. I didn't add the dark colors to this side. Oh my god, I'm a sham. Did I mean to? I probably meant to. I keep hitting it. I am so sorry. Okay, well. I just feel silly now. So yeah, I never did. I don't want to like make anything too obtrusive because I already really like it, so I'm just gonna be adding more spot variety and stuff. Maybe some spots in between here. She does have bigger markings and stuff, but I think that's fine. Back to this. Wow, I feel silly. I legit thought this just proves how tired I am. My head hurts, but I want to like get at least the full body done before I like in the stream. Anyway, what we might do is there are dark parts on the shoulder for sure. They're also with the brown, so I might bring some more of the brown up as well as like a second bit. So I'm gonna, I just realized I was adding those dark marks onto okay. It's gonna smudge some of what I have, but there's really no avoiding that. I mean, unless I put it on a different layer, which I'm not gonna really bother. More smudging means that it just looks different still. It just adds more uniqueness to this specific side. So there's no harm in it. I do wonder what my battery's at. 30%. We better hope I get this portion done soon. Or the body done soon. All of it. I'm sure I will. My iPad was not fully charged when I started this stream because I forgot to charge it the last few days, so it was at like 89%. So I'd have at least 23% if I had just charged it fully. In my defense, I was trying to charge it fully, but then I got impatient. I was like, it's fine. But yeah, I'll probably stream like not tomorrow because unfortunately for me my college classes start on Wednesday. But maybe over the weekend to give like a part 2 and going over the files and everything. Okay, now let's do the dark part. And it can stay on this layer, it didn't really matter. You technically, I don't even, if I'm being honest, think you would really have to texture all these little spots that I'm doing. Because to me they fit in fine, regardless, except for the bigger ones. They tend to look a bit more obvious. But like the smaller spots, I think they're fine, but I tend to blend them just ever so slightly more. Okay, so we've got those sides. And now we just need to edit the bum. Which, making this one different should be fine. I'm kind of indifferent to how it is, so what I might do is... Ooh, would help if I was using the right color. I think this one's the dark. Just kind of make, you know... something a bit interesting on this side. Does it fit? I don't know. But it's what I'm gonna do. Sorry about that. If you heard it, that was my phone vibrating. You might not have, but just in case you did, I apologize. And here we go. I think. Ooh, really? Is that what this? No, that's the dark. What am I doing? It's this color, right? Pretty sure. And then I'll just connect this up with the circle as well, just to have it also. And we'll add more flecky spots. We'll bring this down. I guess you can actually see it on the 3D model. I didn't notice until just now that you can see where I'm drawing on the 3D model. So that works. I do want to go back down here and blend that out more. Oop. Okay. Now we want the really rich brown. And I like this brown, so I'm going to use it more. How, you may ask? I don't know, I'm still deciding. Okay. What? Oh, it's part of this, isn't it? Yeah. Let me pull that in because I don't like the way that looks. I'm also not sure if I like the way this looks, but what I might do is bring in a new layer and then fill this with that darker brown. That's a bit better. And now for the dark portion, I'm gonna bring this up a lot more. And I realized I was using the smudge to do that, and I was wondering why it was acting really weird. Bring this up a lot more. Bring up some black markings as well. Nothing like too crazy. Something to like, I don't know, make it more appealing. Okay. It's not the greatest, but again, this is for myself, so it's fine. I don't need it to be the greatest. I just, you know. I feel like it should be going up more than I'm looking at. There, it's a bit better. Okay. What color paw pads? She has like a light pink-ish color. I'm just gonna... I usually don't have an issue drawing paw pads, but it's always on stream when I'm like, how do I do this normally? It's my brain shutting down. Good enough. I'll add shading and stuff to it in a bit. Maybe not tonight, because I need to go to bed soon, because I'm tired and my head hurts. But I want to get everything done on the body. Save maybe the texture. I might fiddle around with the texture later. So actually this is a good time to check. There it is. Yeah. So when I do paw pads by hand, sometimes you'll get these little bits that are not where they should be. And they could be pretty much anywhere, but they have a habit of showing up. You can see a big one there, actually. And I normally don't have to change the color, but because she's very bright and her paw pads are also very bright, then it kind of makes it to where I have to do that. But otherwise, we just have to do her tail, which is overly simple. Oh, overall simple. So that's why you don't want to fill in 3D mode, because it only fill to the exact UV that you have. And we're not going to be using that tail, so we need to account for the other tails and what UVs they have. She's going to be using a plume tail, so a lot of the space is going to be used. And normally, I would try to find the middle. But we're just going to do guesswork here. Because that's fine. And it's not exactly straight. It's still not straight, and it's still not in the middle, which is bugging me. But I said I wouldn't try. That should be fine. So what I do for these types of like markings where they're the stripes is I'll do this. They're not, goodness gracious, they're not gonna be fully symmetrical, so they are gonna have their differences. But that's typically how I do the stripes, like this. She doesn't have like big stripes, so I actually didn't even need to go down that far. Probably about that far is fine. And to be honest, since she's using the plume tail, I probably need to go up farther, so she can have the tail tip be this color, but I mean, we'll also be testing this, or finishing this another day, and testing it another day. So right now we're just getting the base done, and then I will be off to Betty Bye. So since it doesn't need to be exact, actually I want to erase these bits up here, I don't want that. And then I can... I'll also do the tail tip in a second. But yeah, what I'm gonna do is also just follow with these. Make them go out a bit farther. And then for the tail tip, we're gonna take this and we're gonna make it a bit softer to look at, I guess. I'm actually gonna increase this to max size. And then once we do this, I will go back with a smaller brush and just add some harsher bits of fur in there. So like, helps if I do this. It helps usually if you change the opacity of them, so it's not really gonna look like much at all in this one, but it is what it is. And I do want, I am so sorry, to kind of fluff this out just a wee bit. Nothing major, nothing huge, but just enough so it's not like a stark line. For these bits, you can do that as well. It doesn't really matter because these look less uniform than the actual side of the tail did. So you can, it doesn't really matter. It's all dependent on what you're looking for. Okay, and technically her tail's done. It won't look correct because, again, that's not the tail that we are going to be using, but it's good enough. And we're going to be adding the texture and stuff another day. I might add the texture off screen before the next stream, just to get it out of the way, and then we can test in game and then do any fixes and then go over coding and everything, because this, I'm probably going to sort of mix the step-by-step guide and make it kind of this, and then maybe edit the VOD so there's a shorter version, and then yeah. But yeah, thank you to everyone who joined. It was fun. I might do more preset streams in the future, but at the same time, I have no idea unless I can figure out how to change my setup so I'm not constantly hitting the mic. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I will probably stream the rest of this on Friday or something like that, because it'll just be easier that way. But yeah. Bye bye.